It is on this basis that I admitted the amendment by the member for Kisumu West.
If you want to hope, you can hope as an independent and you can jump until the elections are held.
We cannot be prisoners of party bosses. MPs win party hopping battle in IEBC reforms debate.
Disband the National Organizing Committee of Kenya.
Knock fired. Kenya government spoiling for war with the International Olympic Committee.
So far, the existing loans will continue to exist in the books.
But the implementation stage has to come from us and other stakeholders.
Plus, Kenyans waiting to celebrate as bankers cry foul and start suspending loans.
And we are hopeful that when the bill comes for debate, hopefully books would be zero-rated.
And how the government punishes parents and learners by taxing school books. Welcome to the program. Now, a day after President Uhuru Kenyatta signed into law the Kenya Banking Amendment Bill 2015, bankers today sought to clear the air on what happens to existing loans and when the law takes effect. Even as many Kenyans celebrated the arrival of the new law, the Kenya Bankers Association has revealed it could take up to a month before Kenyans know exactly when they will start enjoying new interest rates on both bank loans and deposits. KTN's Abby Agina begins our coverage tonight.
It was a decision that clearly caught the banking sector by surprise.
Obviously, we were not expecting that. We were expecting that His Excellency would refer the bill back to Parliament for reconsideration. By Thursday evening, KTN News had learned that at least 3 commercial banks have reacted to the new law by suspending issuance of personal unsecured loans, car loans, and emergency cash as banks retreat to the drawing board. The action to suspend issuance of loans by banks signals a cloud of uncertainty in the sector as banks take on a wait-and-see approach. Millions of customers are yet to know the fate of their existing loans as the national debate rages on over the new law.
This might be the beginning of a systematic process where, without realizing, the government can be forced to fall into the trap of reintroducing a lot of price controls in different areas.
The bankers' lobby group, the Kenya Bankers Association, has come out to clarify the position of existing loans. They maintain that rates will not be affected until the law is operationalized.
As far as it's in view of the fact that the operationalization has not been effected, so far the existing loans will continue to exist in the books on the basis of the existing terms and conditions until the new law comes into place. Now, if that new law will require the existing loans to be repriced, so be it. If it will only apply to new loans going forward, so be it. But whichever way it comes out, banks will have to comply.
Observers say it was a delicate maneuver by the president to assent to the Banking Amendment Bill 2015 at a time Kenyans were increasingly becoming irritated by the prevailing high interest rates that are beyond the reach of many.
We do not have to rewrite history. We do not have to rewrite policies. We have enough, but we need them implemented.
The passage of the new law, according to KBA, will force banks to re-examine their businesses and work out ways that would see them remain profitable, at the same time offer cheap credit to customers.
We actually do not know how the industry will evolve in the new environment. As I mentioned, I think banks will clearly come up with new models in terms of their business models. The challenges that have made the cost of credit go up have not been removed.
The impending fear among many consumers is that banks may introduce hidden charges in the form of fees to ensure their profitability is not affected. This KBA denies.
Banks will not try to circumvent the law by trying to come up with, with some additional charges and that kind of stuff.
It still remains unclear what the wider ramifications of the law will be, but for now, Kenyans have to wait for at least 3 weeks before they can troop to banks to start enjoying low interest rates in the market. Abiyagina, KTN News.
From massive business news to groundbreaking sporting story that has shaken the Kenyan sports scene today. Now, the Kenyan Sports Secretary Hassan Wario has finally bowed to pressure and disbanded the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, NOC. However, the CS finds himself walking a tightrope as NOC have vowed to stay put. The body is adamant that Wario lacks the mandate to disband an independent body. KTN's Hassan Juma reports.
The Kenyan sports scene is still shaking from the move by Sports Cabinet Secretary Hassan Wario, who has finally disbanded the National Olympic Committee. The action follows intense pressure for him to act over complaints of mismanagement of Team Kenya at the Rio Olympics. Wario, who earlier claimed that NOC was being led by cartels beyond the ministry, has transferred the NOC duties to Sports Kenya.
Disband the National Organizing Committee of Kenya, National Organizing Committee of Kenya, NOC, Olympic Organizing Committee of Kenya, NOC, with immediate effect, and transfer the responsibilities to Sports Kenya as the interim custodian, who will ensure the adoption of the new constitution for NOC and setting of a very clear election calendar.
He has absolved himself from blame and constituted a probe committee to carry out an independent inquiry of the alleged mismanagement. The committee has been given up to September the 30th to present its findings. However, NOC Secretary General F.K. Paul says the government has no powers to disband it and termed the move as interference.
Government interference in the National Olympic Committee means that the country will be banned from participating in the Olympic Games.
F.K. Paul says both organs, that is the ministry and NOC, are to blame for the Rio fiasco.
We definitely have to, first of all, inform the IOC, and secondly, we go to court if necessary.
The CS denied reports that he was grilled by CID, even as reports emerged that the CS was under pressure from State House and from the Kenyan public to act on NOC. These are the issues that have caused the CS sleepless nights, and athletes want answers. The athletes said they played their part but were let down by the handlers. But even as the back and forth between the government and the National Olympic Committee continues, pictures from Rio show that the remaining athletes who were kicked out of the Olympic Village are staying in deplorable conditions.
Where the Kenyan team is going to spend their night.
A clip from the Cherangani MP and team captain Marathon Wesley Korir paints a picture of a team that has been left to fend for itself. The MP plans to publish a motion in Parliament to sort out the mess that was Rio and sanitize the sport that continues to attract public ridicule over mismanagement. Hassan Juma, KTN News.
It will be interesting to see how this plays out if the International Olympics Committee picks it up. Members of the National Assembly have endorsed the report of a special motion that seeks to reconstitute the National Electoral Body, the IEBC. The MPs have, however, successfully waged a war against party leaders and removed the clause that barred politicians from defecting to other political parties during party nominations. The Deputy Speaker, Joyce Laboso, ruled that only the parliamentary leadership may introduce changes to the amended version of the Joint Parliamentary Select Committee report on electoral reforms, a move that blocked members from making any further amendments. Patrick Amimo has the details.
Madam Speaker, you heard the leader of majority.
On Wednesday, Deputy Speaker Joyce Laboso adjourned debate on the special motion of the Joint Parliamentary Select Committee after an agitated House wanted to push several amendments to the committee's report. The National Assembly's leadership had urged the Speaker to invoke Standing Order No. 1 and make a ruling on whether lawmakers could introduce changes to the report, which was a negotiated process.
Initially, we thought the main issue was the party hopping. But sitting in the chamber myself, I was shocked that there were other major amendments which were being crafted, around where I was sitting.
Before the House leadership intervened, members had unanimously voted to delete a clause in the report that blocked party defectors. Come Thursday, the Speaker made a ruling that upheld the amendment but restricted further amendments.
An amendment is moved upon the original motion to modify the question in such a way as to increase its acceptability, build consensus, or to present to the House a different proposition as an alternative to the original question. It is on this basis that I admitted the amendment by the member for Kisumu West, following consultations with the mover and the seconder of the motion, who were members of the Select Committee.
Madam Speaker, today you have used Solomonic wisdom. I didn't know you were that intelligent, but you have done us proud. You brought the country together, and you have, yes, I'm reminded the Speaker is a PhD order. Don't give it to rebels.
Majority of the lawmakers said blocking party hopping was an infringement on the Bill of Rights, which is entrenched in the Constitution. But Majority Leader Aden Duale ridiculed party hoppers.
When I saw Honorable Babu Namwamba, talking about party hopping, as we speak now, he is still hopping and he has not landed. He has not landed. He has hopped from ODM and he has not found out a place to land. So, Madam Speaker, it is immoral for a political leader to believe in an ideology of hip-hop.
I know there have been very serious attempts from the Honorable Duale and colleagues to mislead this my loyal member, who was a very strong Secretary General. And after doing that, Madam Speaker, now you can see they have abandoned him on the way.
If we are not careful, we are making our party leaders dictators by default, because you are giving them an opportunity to decide who of you will continue to lead in your chosen areas. Right now, I would sympathize with Honorable Duale, who regards himself as an insider. I can tell you personally, I've been an insider, an outsider, an insider, and again an outsider, and I can tell you over 30 years what it means.
The members later adopted the report. Leader of Majority in the National Assembly will next week introduce in the House for debate two draft bills, the Elections Law Amendment Bill 2016 and the Election Offences Bill 2016, where members will be allowed to amend some clauses during the Committee of the Whole House. Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
National Assembly have endorsed the reports of the special motion seeking to reconstitute the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. On the big question discussion, we are seeking your views on one clause that has brought a lot of heat, especially on the floor of the House. Do you support members of Parliament's defense of their right to defect after party nominations? What do you think? SMS your yes or no response, plus of course a brief comment to the number 22155. You can also tweet us at Ben_Kitili, at KTN News, at KTN Kenya is the other handle. The hashtag is KTN Prime. We shall be sampling some of your tweets as well as texts during this live broadcast.
Experience the world's best leagues and cup competitions on a different level.
Thank you, Muremi. Could there be a looming constitutional crisis in Kenya at the stroke of midnight this Saturday? Tonight in our weekly political segment, Spotlight 2017, we focus on the failure by Parliament to pass the crucial law on gender balance. KTN's Duncan Haimba takes an in-depth look at the intrigues.
Parliament may now be staring at an imminent dissolution for failing to meet the constitutional deadline for passing the gender law. A third attempt, this time through the Senate, efforts to have the contentious gender bill failed over lack of quorum.
The situation has not changed. All the senators who are out of the country, most of them, they are still out of the country. They had gone to committee work, and others on their maybe personal, one or two who are on personal missions and important things that they had prior arrangements on.
By the sponsor of the bill, nominated Senator Judith Sijeni. Only 28 members stand up for the debate. This brings... Despite intense lobbying by the sponsor of the bill, nominated Senator Judith Sijeni, only 28 members of the Senate turned up for debate. This being 16 members short of the required threshold of 44.
I think the country and the National Assembly and the Senate will still have to keep looking for a formula. The court may not be able to take much of a view in terms of this parliament right now, the 12th parliament, the 11th parliament, but definitely the 12th parliament will be affected. So it was just postponing a problem.
Hopefully, we will wait for now the next general election and see maybe if parties will nominate more members of either gender to fill that gap.
A move that is already attracting condemnation, and this could set the stage for yet another round of legal battle between the two arms of government, the legislature and the judiciary.
It's unfortunate that we have lawmakers who don't respect the law, that we have lawmakers who are teaching Kenyans that it's okay to break the constitution. Parliament, and the president may dissolve Parliament. Do we need to go through that because of doing what we are supposed to do? In my view, no. Parliament needs to pass this law.
And it's an embarrassment that people had the obligation and authority to pass the law who are elected by Kenyans can fail Kenyans on such a fundamental duty.
Now it's crystal clear that this matter can only be resolved through a progressive way, a constitutional progressive formula to attain the two-thirds gender.
Parliament is satisfied that it has managed to pass critical legislation as per the Constitution, save for the gender bill that has failed twice in the National Assembly and the Senate, which implies pressure will now shift to political parties to ensure they achieve the same. Duncan Hemba, KTN News, Parliament.
Good evening and welcome to KTN Business. My name is Abi Agina. Diversified Financial Services Group BRITAM Holdings Limited has posted a 50% jump in profit before tax to 2.8 billion shillings, up from 1.4 billion during the same period in 2015. According to BRITAM, the group's core business outperformed expectations over the period, achieving a 175% rise in profit before tax, while the group's investment income increased by 38% to 2.4 billion shillings in June 2016 compared to 1.7 billion in June 2015. Announcing the results, the group managing director, Dr. Benson Wairegi, noted that the successful implementation on the 2012-2016 strategy has guided the group's operations, helping it to realize major milestones, among them the 100% acquisition of Real Insurance Group, the successful integration of the two entities, and the development of a property strategy that have ensured that the portfolio is robust and agile. Let's now talk matters to do with trade. As you know, Kenya is hosting TICAD, and even as the TICAD conference draws near, Kenya-Japan deals continue to be concluded. KPLC has today signed a memorandum of understanding with Toshiba that is expected to reduce the losses which KPLC has been incurring from transformer vandalism, oil siphoning and stolen power. The deal is set to kick off the implementation of pilot projects which will see Toshiba fund and install amorphous distribution transformers. The transformers should reduce load losses by up to 1%, thus saving 4 billion shillings each year. The project also includes the installation of gas-filled transformers that should curb transformer vandalism and siphoning of oil. Speaking during the signing, KPLC MD Dr. Ben Chumo stated plans to support the local industry through the local supply of meters, cables, poles and conductors so as to increase operational efficiencies, which have in the past delayed due to importation. Managing Director of Toshiba East Africa, Dr. Katsusho Toda, added that the pilot projects should lead to negotiations to further seal the deal regarding procurement matters.
Transformers to contribute to KPLC by reducing technical and commercial losses.
The project will take 30 days to be completed, and of course a specific period, maybe 6 and below months, to make observations on their success.
Still keeping it in matters, TICAD, well, Nairobi is set to host the 6th TICAD conference here in Nairobi with thousands of delegates, including up to 35 heads of state, expected to attend. Just what does this mean for commerce in Kenya? That is a question that I did put to the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who leads that particular organization. Let's listen in.
We're already feeling that TICAD is part and parcel of us, that this is our project and we need to move it to another front. Again, we are expecting a number of partnerships. We expect to see a lot of businesses grow through partnerships in advancement of SDG 17, which is very critical at this time, which is going to see a lot of industrialization in every other sector.
Are there any areas of particular preference you would like to see Kenya table on this particular conference?
Technology and services are really, really very critical in Kenya today. We really would want to see more business people coming up in these areas, and especially in service delivery. You realize that our export and import is still not in tally in the two countries. You'd see the balancing of trade must really come out. And if we can have policies that are going to standardize some of these issues that are affecting the country at large, not just Kenya, but Africa at large, I think you will see more trade between the two countries.
Well, on that note, that's how we wrap up KTN Business. My name is Abe Gina. Do have a lovely night. Coming up next is the day's sports news.
Olympic Committee Secretary General FK Paul says the body is yet to release its report on what transpired in the Rio Olympic Games. The body says they will stay put in office despite being disbanded by the Secretary Hassan Wario.
About ticketing, that is not our responsibility. Ticketing is the responsibility of the ministry. They chose the route, which caused a lot of problems. The route from here to Luanda and Luanda to Rio. We didn't choose that route. It caused a lot of problems. So it is their responsibility. They should answer how they chose that route. And, because a lot of athletes, I think, are complaining because of that route. We did not choose that route. So they should be responsible for that. I'm here. And whatever investigation are going to take place, I will come to the investigations and will give my full cooperation.
In motorsports, the race for this year's National Rally Championship title intensifies as it moves to the Mount Kenya region this weekend as Nanyuki prepares to host the 5th round of the Kenya National Rally Series. 36 drivers will spice this weekend's action. One Samenyori in the two-wheel drive category will be out to redeem himself after retiring in the last 2 outings. Moses Wahisi has the plot for you.
Car Flash Tundo, navigated by Team Jessop, will be the first off the ramp as 36 drivers face off during this weekend's Nanyuki rally. And as the battle in the main class intensifies, the two-wheel class is expected to spice the rally with 5 drivers eager to get the maximum points. But after retiring twice in the last 2 legs, Samenyori, having accumulated a total of 39 points, will be out on a redemption mission.
We intend to really drive as fast as possible, but again, make sure that we don't break the car. But for us to have a shot at the championship, we intend to try our best and at least get to win a number of events.
Alex Lairangi tops second-wheel drive, having accumulated a total of 80 points, 5 points clear Eric Bengi, who's hopeful of a win at the end of the season, so he can retire gracefully from his category as he looks to move on to Group N. Nyori, however, expects fortunes to go his way, and for that to be is geared to press his machine harder.
The way we've prepared the car and our driving, I would want to believe we're basically going to compete with one driver. And the rest will have to fight for position 3 and 4.
The battle for the top owners will be more than spicy, with champion Flying Finn Tapio Lankanen, navigated by Pasi Torma in a Subaru Impreza, remaining geared to play it safe and retain the lead.
First thing in my mind is the win. That's what we are aiming for. But of course, I'm not going to risk it at the beginning. We have to wait and see what the weather condition is doing, how the road condition is when we get there.
The rally drivers will tackle the famous Oldaiga and Lengatia private farms before heading to the Batian View Spectators stage, which is located on the foothills of Mount Kenya. Moses Wahisi, KTN Sports.
So Nanyuki is a place to be this weekend for rally lovers. Kenya will be represented by 21 players in the Tongi El Mondo International Championship, which will be held over the weekend in Mombasa. The event, which is held every year, has attracted participants from 9 countries across the world.
Team Kenya will be seeking to defend the Tongi El Mondo International Championship title when the competition gets underway this weekend at the Aga Khan Academy in Mombasa.
Some of the best teams and participants of World Tongi El Mondo Federation are going to be in the country, so the tournament is going to be very tactical and competitive. So we wish all the teams success in the competition.
Although the team has been training for only 2 weeks, the Sports Federation remains adamant that players are ready for the task at hand.
Fight for peace.
The tie will have an international feel with teams from Netherlands, Iran, Nigeria, Tanzania and Ethiopia expected to grace the tournament.
We want to really show and also demonstrate the spirit of unity between mind and body, and also spirit of the unity of all different boundaries.
We are not promoting only like sports, kicking, but the most important is we need peace, within all martial artists. So I believe that all martial artists, if we will have a kind of relationship through practicing Tongi El Mondo, we can achieve world peace through this tournament.
Joining us on your most qualified news bulletin in town, KTN Prime. Up next on KTN Home is Jeff Koinange live. And up next on KTN News is Sophia Onuna with the last word. Be sure to join Sophia Wanuna after this KTN Prime Bulletin with the last word. They will be speaking about what has been happening with the IBC reports. That is up next on KTN News. Good night, I'm Ben Kitili.